known by its map designation as Area 51.
We're now learning Area 51,
known as Area 51.
Thank you for
Near
clearing that
Area
up.
51.
Thank you.
Known as Area 51.
Because Area 51 is very important.
They called him Jimmy, and everybody wanted to be his friend.
What's good? What's good? Welcome here to Area 51 here with Jimmy James, telling you the truth about boxing here. And we like to give you the truth here. We don't go, by the way, by all that racial and nationalistic shit. If you're going to go with that garbage, please take it somewhere else. I am sick and tired of listening to a lot of different channels. If I listen to a Latino channel, it's just all pro-Latino. If I listen to a black channel, it's all black. And if I listen to a white channel, it's just like, you know, it's all white. I just tired of this shit. So please take your garbage somewhere else. Please just leave me the fuck alone. And if you like boxing, this is going to be your favorite page, okay? We like boxing. We are partial with boxing and impartial with boxers. That's what we do here in Golden Era. And you know, normally we do retransmissions in Spanish, but I decided to switch it up a little bit and get myself some subscribers that are in English as well. All right, so how would I say this? Ryan Garcia is definitely being a very controversial fighter. He is definitely the Instagram king, if you want to put it that way. And he definitely ducked Devin Haney. There's no question about that. Anybody can say whatever they want, but he definitely ducked Devin Haney. Devin Haney went on stage, called out his name, and said, I want to fight you. When are we doing it? And he said, in the future, not right now. So, excuse me. That meant to me that he don't want to fight him. So, Ryan Garcia is a duck. And in fact, let me put it this way. I mean, if you're going to pull out of a fight with Javier Fortuna, who actually happens to be a pit bull. See, in Golden Era, we have two designations, a pit bull and a poodle. The pit bull is the fighter that wants to fight everybody. The poodle is the fighter who doesn't want to fight anybody, okay? And when he got out of that fight, it was like, wow. Like, you can beat Javier Fortuna, but something is making you insecure. Maybe it was because he went to Reynoso's camp and things just didn't go too well for him. I know that Reynoso's camp is a very controversial camp. They have had cheating issues there for a minute, and for anybody to sell me otherwise, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, their campment is just very bizarre. There's a lot of cheating going on there. Oscar Valdez, Canelo Alvarez. I think Ray Martinez had some situation too. Very strange things are happening in that camp. And I think that at the end of the day, that just didn't work out too well for Ryan Garcia, which ended up actually not getting along with Canelo Alvarez. And he ended up going with Joe Goosen, which I think was a great idea. So he did that to Javier Fortuna, and then he did that also to Jojo Diaz, which I believe that Jojo would have given him a better fight than Javier Fortuna. Okay, I think Jojo has a lot of experience in the game, and I think he is definitely a pit bull. He doesn't avoid anybody. Javier Fortuna never avoided anybody, and he tries to get the best fights. And that's the fighters that we have to support as a boxing community, and stop getting these fighters who just don't want to give you the fights and only blame the promoters when they themselves they don't want to sign. We got to stop with this garbage, because if we do that, then we're basically destroying boxing. And many of these boxers who do that, unfortunately, happen to be the most commercial and selling fighters, which is even more ridiculous. I don't know how the fuck we got there, but we gotta, we got a lot of working to do in boxing. So anyway, Ryan Garcia, he had a change of heart after pulling out from JoJo 2, which I've never seen any boxer do that in boxing history. And he decided to fight Javier Fortuna, but obviously in 140. He beat Javier Fortuna, and I thought that he was going to beat him because I think his jab is actually pretty dangerous. I think he fights somehow like Errol Spence. I think he's very static in his movement sometimes, but he does have a good jab, and he has a good power jab with the first hand, which makes him dangerous. And he's fast, so that doesn't help against the opponent. I knew he was going to be Javier Fortuna. And apparently he was calling out Tank. And before he called Tank, but nobody really took him serious because, what he did. But now he is really calling him. And they even went to, he's been calling everywhere. He called him in the Mike Tyson show. He called him as well. He went to a club and he had a discussion with Tank. And Tank, I guess he pulled his chain off. And it was, Garcia said that he was going to sue him or whatever. So I don't know what the fuck. But whatever it is, they were supposedly negotiating the next fight. And even Leonard Ellerbe shook the hand of Ryan Garcia to make the fight happen the next. So it seems like whatever the situation is, it's a very similar situation to what's happening with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, which is PBC to blame, which actually Spence is part of. So that's not Terence Crawford's fault. It's the fault of the other side. Now, in this other situation, I don't know. What I can't say, though, is that, and I want to say it like this, Gervonta Davis, to me, his career is garbage. I don't give a fuck what you think. His career is absolutely garbage. He could have fought Gary Russell Jr. a few years back. Gary Russell called him when he was at 130. He could have fought him. He never did. And Gary Russell was really, really static to get that fight. Gervonta Davis completely ignored him. And I think that was a mistake. Because if Gervonta Davis would have beat Gary Russell Jr., that would have been a good body in his resume. Never fought him. He could have fought Vasyl Lomachenko. I remember when Vasyl Lomachenko was in 130, man, he was calling out Gervonta Davis. It was so humiliating it was just so humiliating the way that Lomachenko was treating Gervonta Davis and like, talk to your promoter, tell him that I want to fight. Like, he was basically making fun of him. And Gervonta Davis, it just seemed like he was frozen. He didn't want Vasyl Lomachenko because I believe that Vasyl Lomachenko 130 was a very dangerous fighter. I think he was, specifically, especially 2 to 3 years ago. I think he was a very dangerous fighter. But I think Gervonta Davis had a good chance to beat him. He has the power. He has the skill set. But he quacked. He's a poodle. That's what he is. He could have fought Tevin Farmer. Why not fight Tevin Farmer? That would have been a great fight. Great unification fight. Never fought him. And honestly, I believe Tevin Farmer because I don't know that Tevin Farmer really ducked anybody. And when he got JoJo, he got him right away. And JoJo was a tough cookie. He ended up beating Tevin Farmer. Maybe he shouldn't have fought that way. I'm talking about Tevin Farmer. He could have boxed instead of making it a fight, which JoJo's going to benefit JoJo, but he did fight him. So here we go. One, Gary Russell Jr., Vasyl Lomachenko, and Tevin Farmer. Bro, your resume, if you just would have fought those three dudes before coming to 135, it would have been a ball game. Now, he did fight Leo Santa Cruz, but Leo Santa Cruz was a duck. He was another poodle. He was ducking Gary Russell Jr. There was a lot of fighters that he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight Guillermo Rigondeaux. There was fighters he didn't fight. So, for me, Leo Santa Cruz is not... He never fought anybody, to be honest with you. And he could have. Because I believe Gary Russell Jr. would have beat Leo Santa Cruz. And probably give him a good beating, too. So, when he went up to 135, who did he fight at 135? Yuriorkis Gamboa, which is basically 2 weight classes, below him. And Yuriorkis Gamboa is a pit bull. He fights everybody. He's never said no to anybody. So I commend Yuriorkis Gamboa for doing that. But that wasn't stellar for Gervonta Davis. In fact, picking Yorkis Gamboa was probably a bad bet. Now he did fight our boy here, Pitbull Cruz, but he chose Pitbull Cruz because he thought that was going to be an easy fight. And while all this is happening, Devin Haney is calling him out to fight. Why not take a fight with Devin Haney? It just doesn't make sense. He tried to fight against, and here's the other part of the story. Here's another interesting part. When he fought Ronda Romero, he didn't want that fight. At first, he didn't want it to, but he was kind of pushed to it, and he decided to sign for that contract. He could have said no, but at least he signed. And now he's fighting these two dudes, Pitbull Cruz and Ronda Romero. And actually, I think probably that's his best two fights that he's ever had. But Pitbull Cruz has not fought anybody to really show that he is really that tough opponent. So we don't know how good Pitbull Cruz is because he's also fought Yorkis Gamboa and he's also fought some Eduardo Ramirez, who is 2 weight classes below him. He wasn't even ranked top 10, and he fought him. So I don't really know where Pitbull Cruz is skillful wise. But one thing I do know is that the fight with Ronda Romero, the first few rounds was very competitive, and that's against the dude that, slugs it out. So he doesn't really have an opponent worthy of making Gervonta Davis this, difficult fighter. So a lot of people don't realize that when the fighter, specifically when the, we say here, I'm trying to think about how to say this, but when the level of competition rises, your punching power tends to go down. Now, there are exceptions like Deontay Wilder, but in this case, I feel like if he fought Ryan Garcia, this is actually a 50-50 fight. I think this is a 50-50 fight. I seen Gervonta Davis get touched by Pitbull Cruz, who is not the most technical fighter, and I also saw him getting touched also by Ronda Romero. And these are not too technical of fighters, but when you're looking at somebody like Ryan Garcia, it just feels like people are underestimating Ryan Garcia. And once again, these two fighters, in my opinion, they have a garbage legacy when it comes down to the fights that they had so far. The resume is garbage. But I gotta give Gervonta Davis, it's just hard for me to give him credit because he's been so long and he's had so many good fights that he could have fought that he never took him. So I really don't know where his skill level is. I can only see it against average opponents or opponents that look like, they just came fresh. Okay? So I can only see it through those lenses. I can't see it against somebody like a Shakur Stevens or Devin Haney or a Teofimo Lopez, which apparently Teofimo Lopez was also calling Gervonta Davis. I forgot about that one. So I just don't see it. I don't see this Gervonta Davis being, this great fighter. He looks good against certain opponents, but I haven't seen him against a certain level. And that's where I have my doubts about him and his career. I think his career is, I don't know how he makes that much money, but based upon his opponents and his record, it's actually garbage. And he's been a long time in the sport. Ryan Garcia has been less, but, we'll see if he recovers now. We'll see if he takes the Devin Haney's fight. We'll see. But Gervonta Davis doesn't have that much. I mean, he has time, but I feel like he's wasted a lot of time. A lot of time. And I believe somebody like Shakur Stevenson will fuck him up, in my opinion. I think Shakur Stevenson, I agree with Lomachenko. I think that Shakur Stevenson will beat Gervonta Davis. And he'll beat, Shakur Stevenson will also beat Lomachenko too. He'll beat both. But I think it's a 50-50 fight. And to be honest with you, the fight that he had against Ronda Romero, he was getting clipped too much. And I think that the power jab of Ryan Garcia, who's a much faster fighter than, or quicker fighter, I would say, than Ronda Romero, will give Gervonta Davis a lot of trouble. I think it's a 50-50 fight. In fact, if I have to tilt the scale, I actually would tilt it to Ryan Garcia. And I'm not saying it because I don't think that Gervonta Davis couldn't just hit him and knock him down. But nobody's done that to Javier Fortuna, what Ryan Garcia did to him. And he does have power. And they want to make this fight in a 136 catch weight, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, I hate catch weights. They don't make any sense to me. Just go for a fucking division. If you're going to 140, fine. If you can't do 135, that's fine. But at least fight in one of those two divisions. But making a catch weight, man, I don't understand. But I think that this is a very close fight. I don't think this is going to be a Gervonta Davis parade. The last fights I've seen Gervonta Davis, I've seen him struggle. And not against the best of opponents. Well, Ronda Romero is awkward, so that's a little bit different. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Something tells me that this could be a Ryan Garcia fight. If Gervonta Davis doesn't watch out. If this fight materializes and all the bullshit is done, I believe we could be up for a surprise. So far, many of my predictions have been right. Obviously, I've been wrong in others too. But I wouldn't doubt that Ryan Garcia beats Gervonta Davis. I just don't see his record. I don't see it. And you can say where the fuck you want, but he has a terrible record for the amount of time he's been in boxing. It's because he's ducked other fighters. And I believe a few of those fights he would have lost. And I have to be honest too. I think that Ryan Garcia would have lost, in my opinion, against Devin Haney. I think he would have lost that fight. That's how I feel. So it's not like Ryan Garcia also has the stellar record, and no, but the difference is that, the difference is that nobody's putting Ryan Garcia here. We all think of Ryan Garcia here because what's happened to him mentally or whatever. But everybody puts Gervonta Davis here, and you gotta look at the resume before you start making those decisions. Who did he really fight? Who did he really fight? And things start to change. And who did the fighter that he fought against? Who did he fight? See, now you start having more questions. So I think this is it's going to be a good fight if it happens, of course. If not, then that's another. Then we're back to square one with all this garbage happening in boxing. So that's my take on it. You can put your comments below, and also hit subscribe there if you like my channel, and also, give us a like and share our content. So that's what we do here. So see you next time. More boxing here with Golden Out just for you. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one.